Who are the top 5 prospects you're emailing this week? I'll wait. The reality, if you're doing your job, it probably didn't take you long to come up with a good list of names. You think about them a lot, and you should. Here's the sad truth though. Your buyer isn't sitting around thinking about your emails. In fact, your buyer isn't a buyer. They have a day job. So while you might know your top 5, I can assure you, they and I have no clue who has cold emailed me, them, whatever this week. You think about them, but they don't think about you. What does this have to do with following up? Everything. You can send the best cold email ever. You're still probably not going to get a reply. And we often get stuck in our own heads. We think maybe they just need a little bit more context. The problem, we don't pick the right context. We pick the context that's about us. All we need is to remind them why we reached out in the first place. That's the context that matters to them. We have to treat a follow-up email just like we would a first touch cold email. We're playing by the same inbox rules, but there's definitely some nuances. Lavender's best practice data on length shows there's different ways to follow up. You've got this camp of emails, similar to cold first touch emails that should be short, but you can also see success with something longer. While this data may change, it's important to have different ways to follow up so you can always be testing and trying new things. Let's use this email as our first example. Congrats on hiring, Joan. Coming off your time at Acme, I imagine you have a playbook for how they'll ramp. Usually, our customers focus training on phones, but email results lag. Apex, now 20% plus reply rates, struggled to coach here. Templates work for some, but not others. Our in-inbox coach helped them level up. Open to seeing how. Because this email is rich with context, this can be morphed into every example we'll need. I'll categorize them, I'll explain them, but I'm not going to tell you any particular order that you need to send these emails in. I'm also going to tell you these aren't the only ways to follow up. I'll also tell you don't copy how I wrote these word for word. If you do, you're just treating it like a template. And templates become patterns and then you're gonna get ignored. Instead, focus on the logic so that you can make these your own. That's why we use frameworks. So how you follow up? Follow-ups fall into 2 main camps. Bumps and expansions. A bump is a nudge. You're resurfacing the email thread. An expansion can add context or offer further explanation. So let's cover some bumps. Here's a simple one, the thoughtful bump. It goes like this. Joan, given you're coming in from Acme and just started hiring, I thought my note about Apex would resonate. What did you think? Note, I still lean into the personalization at the front. I reuse a lot of the context from the first email, but only enough to get them interested in reading the first note. Check out that key ask, right? What did you think? This works mainly because of that personalization though. Okay, this next one is all about the give. It's called the Neutral Insights Bump. Joan, do you read Outreach's blog? Given you're likely ramping reps, I thought you'd find it interesting. The VP of Sales Dev at Segment wrote about how she scaled her team to a $3.2 billion acquisition. They did it without using canned templates. Check it out. Include the link. PS, any thoughts on my last note? So I'm gonna bring up the name of the publication to prove that I'm going to this neutral territory. I'm gonna reuse the original context. I'm gonna explain what the article is. And then I nod back to the original CTA. That nod pushes them back to the original email, but it does it from a state of reciprocity instead of urgency. The next bump is the delegate bump. Now, there's only 4 things they can do with your email. They can do something, delete it, delay on replying, or delegate it. Check this email out. Joan, should I take this up with RevOps? This is a crazy simple email. You can create an alternative that offers some explanation on why you think RevOps, in this case, might be interested in it. But this alone is designed to say, hey, you didn't reply. Am I just emailing the wrong person? And guess what? The data supports. Looking at the data right before recording this, the top performing CTA in Lavender's data is to ask if there's a better person to talk to. Okay, last bump before we talk about expansion emails. I want to cover the dreaded breakup email. I think these emails get a bad rap because they're usually poorly executed. You see, when they're done well, they give your emails closure. This is what I use, and it works fairly well. Joan, I've reached out a few times. Given the hiring, I thought email coaching might be timely. Realize I may have been totally off. If there's a better time to reach out, let me know, stopping my outreach. This works for a few key reasons. 1, you're still using your reason. 2, you lean hard into unsure tonality. This works. Fall on the sword. 3, it gives the campaign finality. People have loss aversion. They tend to respond because of it. Okay, let's cover some expansion emails. The first one, simple. I call it the clarification email. You're clarifying why the context is relevant in a specific way that you solve the problem. Hey Joan, given you're growing the sales team, I thought coaching might be top of mind. I thought I should clarify. We've built a sales email coach. Sits right inside their inbox. High growth teams get great results and peace of mind. You get a much better sense for what reps are sending without hovering over their shoulder. Think this could help your team? 1, I restate the context. 2, I seek to clarify. Part 1 really being what we do. Then I seek to clarify again, part 2, why that's relevant. Then I open it up for conversation. This framework can be done a number of different ways. For example, I've seen sellers break down job posts and explain why their software is better as an alternative to making another hire. Don't feel too attached to exactly how I wrote this one. I favor writing shorter emails, but the data right now is showing there's room to expand on a follow-up. Okay, last expansion email. This is a framework you can use in a lot of different situations, but I call it barring your case studies. BAR is an acronym. B, background, A, action, R, results. Joan, new to seat and growing. Very similar to how we met George at Apex. He led the sales dev org, had lofty pipeline goals. He was leaning hard on his old playbook. We showed him that there were some ops he was missing via email. Analyzing their sales loft data, we showed him specific plays reps were running on their own, reinforcing best practice data across the org. We also identified coaching moments. Certain reps were slower to ramp. We identified the exact moments they needed help. They saw pipeline contribution from email take off, minimal changes to the reps' workflows. Given you're coming in during a similar situation, I thought it might be helpful to audit why email works/doesn't work for reps. Am I totally off here? The BAR framework might sound familiar. If you feel like you've heard it before, it's because it's a storytelling framework that people use in interviews. STAR is another version of it. S, situation, T, task, A, action, R, result. This storytelling framework works because it properly sets the stage for you to show how your customers are having success in a way that clearly aligns back to your understanding of their situation. You'll notice this is a longer email. It's an expansion email. I'm expanding my thinking because it's well framed and uses a simple, choppy writing style. The data shows it's still effective. Now, I realize I just threw 6 different emails at you. You do not need to use all of them. In fact, you shouldn't. Think back to frameworks. These are Lego blocks that you can swap in and play with and use in different situations. My advice, use about 3 to 4 over a month. You can use the other frameworks that you don't use for email for other channels. Use them for call scripts, LinkedIn DMs, or even videos. I highly recommend you don't solely lean on email. Using more will lift the results across every channel you use.